So Morning Blow is in a full panic. Morning Blow is in a full panic because, oh no, turns out young people are leaving the Democratic Party. And with the aftermath of the crackdowns that happened at Columbia University in New York City and all other college campuses here in America, Morning Blow is on a super fast rush to start talking down to these activists and organizers. Morning Blow is now going to start talking down to people saying, hey, listen, kiddos, you still better support Biden because our democracy is at risk. Even though our First Amendment and our right to speak out is being taken away from us, we're seeing how TikTok is being censored. We're seeing how Twitter is being censored. We're seeing all the censorship happening on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place. But Morning Blow wants to dictate to all of you how to feel. How to feel. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. Let's start off with Morning Blow.
Tell me though why kids in college can't, and I call them kids because I'm an old dude. I got kids.
They're kids.
But
they're
why,
legal adults.
How did they?
Mika, blink twice if you need help. But seriously, hold on. Listen to this. Actually, they're not kids. They're just young adults.
In college can't, and I call them kids because I'm an old dude. I got kids.
They're kids.
But
they're
why,
legal adults.
How did they get to a point where they started chanting genocidal phrases?
Yeah.
What did they say that's so genocidal? From the river to the sea? Was that it? Hey, stop killing men, women, and children. Bring in food and water and medicine into Gaza.
From the river to the sea. And they don't even know, a lot of them don't even know what they're proposing.
They don't know what they're proposing. So the thing about what's happening right now.
So they don't know. So that means when they go on TikTok or Twitter or read the news or see the images of, children starving, that they're incapable of realizing that, hey, we're witnessing war crimes. We're witnessing people dying in mass. We're witnessing civilians dying. Hey, by the way, those hostages, are we ever going to find them? I don't know. Last I checked, but wasn't that kind of important? Because with the amount of bombings and artillery shells and drone strikes and helicopter strikes, I don't think we're going to find those people.
On college campuses, it's three things that we have to understand. First of all, it's obviously not peaceful. Second, it's not grassroots because it's well coordinated, well funded. For example, the tents, all of them have green tents. It's very puzzling.
So they all have uniformed green tents. What? What? Corbin Media, are you speaking out of your ass again? See, this is why a lot of people across the political spectrum should be concerned about what happened with those crackdowns at those universities. Because now Pandora's box has been open. And that means everything. Any protest you ever do will forever be under the gaze of the political establishment. So if you're conservative, libertarian, green, socialist, no matter where you stand politically, you are going to be viewed with suspicion, and your right to assemble could be cracked down hard on.
And the most important thing is that it's not true. So the kids that are actually protesting and think that they're doing the best thing for humanity, what happened is that they have been brainwashed by TikTok to believe that Zionism necessitates the genocide of Palestinians.
Brainwashed. Yet, what about everything that we've seen of the war crimes there, lady? Again, to the protesters, do not submit yourselves to corporate media. Stand strong and do not waste your vote on the Democratic Party. Because these are the people that whisper into Joe Biden's ear.
They were trained, literally brainwashed by TikTok to believe that Israel is a colonialist state. And that's been happening for decades.
What do you mean by TikTok?
Well,
like,
I mean,
oh, it's TikTok. It's China. Oh, heaven forbid.
They're all, we know what's happening on TikTok in terms of numbers and what is being pushed on TikTok in terms of anti-Israel and anti-Semitic rhetorics. Like, we actually have the numbers. It's insane. It's through the roof.
Wow, isn't that something? But let's talk about free speech. Let's talk about the right to protest. I want to pull up this video here. just so you all can see it. It's from another time. The right to assemble, the right to protest, the right to speak.
Now here's another point of view. Tonight, Jerry Springer.
Thanks, Allison. Back when I was the mayor of Cincinnati, the neo-Nazis, knowing I was Jewish, figuring this would be a good test, applied for a parade permit. They wanted to march through our downtown on a Saturday afternoon. Well, I didn't know what to do. You see, much of my family was exterminated in the concentration camps of Germany during World War II. And I didn't think, in respect to my parents, who were survivors of it all, that I could go along with the permit. And yet I knew my constitutional obligation as mayor. So what was I to do? I called my folks. I would respect their wishes. I didn't tell them, but I'd already decided if they didn't want me to let the Nazis march, I would resign and let the next mayor approve the permit. But my dad reminded me that this is America, that this is the freedom we sought when we escaped to here. So we must never be a party to silencing any person or any point of view, no matter how despicable. If what is being said is nonsense or mean or spiteful or dangerous, or if the person uttering it is unworthy, let the words and ideas fall of their own merit in the free marketplace of ideas, not because they were silenced or denied a platform. My parents lost their parents and brothers and cousins to Hitler, and yet they still said, sign the permit, let them march.
Nothing wrong with free speech. You have a right to speak out. People all do. All right? And anyone's going to say, well, wait a minute. Does that mean you're going to let certain groups, really mean people speak? If you're a free speech absolutist, then you have to follow through with it. And I believe in free speech. But what's stopping you from doing a counter protest and a parade of your own right? You know, the world is actually filled with good people. I think we might have forgotten that. And the whole idea of the First Amendment is for us to speak out, to use our voices. We cannot be silenced, and this administration is doing that. A Democratic administration. Have we forgotten who we are? And look, you could be a person who says, oh, I don't like those protesters. Fine. You have a right to protest too. That doesn't give you a right to attack them. It doesn't give you a right to silence them either. Because when they are silenced, you too will be on that chopping block. I don't think we all realize what the politicians are doing in this country and what corporate media is saying is A-okay. Because once the First Amendment's gone, that's it. It is never coming back. They want us to be subservient, smart enough to run the machines, but dumb enough never to ask a question.
Last week, the general manager here announced that I'd agreed to his request to do commentaries from time to time on NBC5 News. I'd been doing commentaries for over 20 years and won 7 Emmys for them, so whether I was qualified to do them didn't seem to be in question. It was a reasonable request, and so I said yes. But one of the anchors said she was deeply offended, that I wasn't up to her standards, that because of the admittedly wild and crazy talk show I do, I would taint everyone who worked here, that I was the poster child for the great unwashed of our society. This elitist snobbery that only people who meet an anchor's approval should be permitted to share the set is now being hidden in the self-righteous cries of journalistic integrity. Bull, and you can fill in the rest of that word. Please understand, we have no journalism in a free society unless we have commentary from all parts of the community, from the poor, the disenfranchised, the left, the right, the outrageous, and yes, the different, not just from the endless array of Walter Cronkite wannabes that populate every news program in America so that virtually every news program looks alike. Look, I am sorry the anchor quit. I'm sorry she found it necessary this week to use me as a stepping stone to martyrdom. But as much as I detest the elitist snobbery on this issue, I would never, ever suggest that she doesn't have a place on our airwaves. She does. But here in America, the rest of us do too. I wish she could have met my dad.
Part of me is tearing up just a little bit. See, I got a roommate. He's a ninja who cuts onions. Great professional, but he always cuts onions at the wrong time. Still resonates to this day. And you want to talk about elitist snobbery? You want to talk about elitist perspectives. Here's once again our friends at BSDNC, and they have a right to speak too. Got to be consistent here, as much it will sicken me when it comes down to the jagoffs at MSNBC, I mean BSDNC. But here's them talking down to the protesters again because they don't want Trump.
I've got to say, you'd ask what parents were saying about this. I mean, for parents whose children are, and they're children, by the way, there's some adults, but I say this because we've got kids, obviously, of college age. I mean, obviously, there are many that are distressed. I'm sure many are concerned about their safety. I certainly hope the students got out and they're doing it peacefully right now. But Richard, this is, I tried to explain this a couple days ago. Maybe I wasn't eloquent enough. But I can tell you my family. I'm not saying the Vietnam War was a just war. It was not a just war. But I can tell you the riots on college campuses.
We had no business in Vietnam, okay? We just didn't have any reason to be there. We had no business there at all.
Riots at the Chicago Convention in '68. All of those things moved my family from being Democrats their entire life to being Republicans. I remember I was young, and I remember my parents asking, what in the world is going on in this country? And of course, they were raised in the Great Depression in rural Georgia. Kind of hard for them to hear rich kids on campus of Harvard or taking over campuses of Columbia. But if you're offended by this, please, I'm trying to help you.
No, Morning Blow, you ain't helping out nobody. Because I got a little fantastic article about young Democrats warning Biden that he must quickly change course. By the way, young people, Biden has already showed all of you how he feels about you. Same thing for the other Democratic politicians. They're not going to stick their necks out for you.
I don't want Donald Trump to get elected, all right?
There you go.
Trying to help you. If you're too stupid to figure that out.
It all comes down to Trump again. The orange boogeyman. Woogie, boogie, 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 boogie. It's Trump. Again, look. I'm pretty sure there's a talented artist out there, someone who's an animator, but here, look. The fact that you have BSDNC, and we'll blow that video up again, bringing up Trump derangement syndrome. I just can't help but think of that scenario. It's late at night. Storm clouds are aforemen, lightning in the sky, and there's a bunch of liberals eating some gluten-free food from Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, watching Rachel Maddow foaming at the mouth, screaming how Trump's a threat. All of a sudden, one of the blue-haired liberals looks out the window and they see somebody on a hill with an axe. Crack. The lightning reveals it's Trump. The liberal rubs their eyes and says, "What was that?" Then they see nothing on the hill. They go back to eating their gluten-free food, watching Rachel Maddow foam at the mouth. But as that person on the hill keeps on getting closer and closer to the door, they kick it down. It's Donald Trump with an axe. The liberals panic. They scream with their arms in the air and run around. And Trump is chasing them like a Scooby-Doo scene. He's chasing them up and down. He's chasing them down Fifth Avenue. And then one day the liberals, realizing that Trump's no longer behind him, they look. They see on Times Square, there is Trump smiling at them, sitting in the White House. Because Trump lives rent-free in these liberals' heads. That's how they view him. Okay? Now, I don't know how this election will play out, but Biden and the Democrats, you didn't do yourselves any favors by the actions that you took this week against the protesters. You're losing your coalition, as you should. Let's continue on.
Change to another channel, because we're sorting through.
Yeah, change to another channel. Tune into Hard Lens Media. Hey, Joe, we agree. Tune into Hard Lens Media.
This as a country, and this is not helping. This is not helping the people of Gaza, and this is not helping those of us who want to fight fascism in America.
Oh, wow. Fascism. Jeez, that's why you're having the police crack down on peaceful protesters, silence the First Amendment, censor TikTok, censor Twitter, censor YouTube, more censorship, more suppression, and of course, all our politicians being bought off by AIPAC, plus our politicians are doing insider trading. But yeah, we're fighting against fascism. Oh, yeah, baby, we're doing it. No, we're not.
But Richard, you remember 68? It was a tidal wave. There's a reason that Reagan won with a lot of young voters in 1980. There's a reason the Reagan Revolution took place. The seeds were planted in 1968.
Yes, the Reagan Revolution had opened the doorway for more unchecked corruption, bribery, and abuse of power. I have my opinions of Reagan. But in comparison to his successors, what Reagan did was lay down the foundations for the neoliberal nightmare that we're in. You could thank George Bush Sr., horny Bill Clinton, doofus Bush Jr., Obama the sellout, the corporate sellout, and yes, even Donald Trump contributed, and senile Joe Biden, to the neoliberal nightmare that keeps us all oppressed and broke. Didn't matter who sits in the White House, Wall Street and the banks had a final say.
And again, when I say that, I'm not saying that the Vietnam War wasn't an unjust war. It was. I'm saying there are ways, as the Rev has proven. So he proved in Vieques, as Martin Luther King has proven, as others have proven. There are ways to do this that helps the cause without hurting, without aiding the worst elements in American politics.
And again, remember the words that I played from Jerry Springer. You have this elitist snobbery looking down at the protesters. You don't have to agree with the protesters. If you watch my show, yes, we do cover this subject. But the thing is, if you are of a different political point of view, what is happening to the protesters should concern you. Why should it concern you? Because if they're going to be silenced and suppressed, so will you. We're all in the same boat here, folks. The Democrats and Republicans do not want the American people to speak out. They don't want you to protest. They don't want you to assemble. They want you to shut up and follow orders and just keep marching along. Don't challenge the system. Don't look at the eye of Sauron. Don't challenge the emperor. Don't challenge the royalty. Don't challenge the powers that be. Don't challenge Big Brother. Don't challenge the system. And the thing is, this is going to cost the Democrats. And it should cost the Democrats everything. And I'll tell you why it should cost the Democrats everything. Young Democrats warn Biden he must quickly change course. He's not going to do it. Okay? Young Democratic voters are sounding the alarm and warning President Biden that his re-election bid could be in jeopardy if he doesn't change course on the issues that matter most to them, including the war on Gaza. He's not going to listen to you, kiddos. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to be disrespectful calling you kiddos, but come on. It's a childish dream to think a politician cares. You got to be serious here. The Democrats don't respect you. AOC only showed up for a photo op. While they have soured on Biden on a range of issues, from the cost of living to climate issues, the rash of protests at college campuses around the country has been the latest point of contention with the president. Of course it has. He will lose the election if he decides to roll the dice and assumes that Gaza isn't at the top of the minds right now, said Elise Josh, the executive director of Gen Z for Change. Look, Gaza is an issue, but the number one issue is going to be the economy. All right? That is the number one issue. I told you guys at the beginning of this year that they were going to find a way to make a distraction so the economy would not be a front and center issue. It still is. Which was once under the name TikTok for Biden. Oh my God. Gen Z for Change. They changed it to TikTok change it from TikTok to Biden. Yeah. So look, at least listen, Biden never cared. Josh also added that last 6 months have seen an increasing pace of concern about the president. He doesn't care. The crisis in Gaza has been a tipping point for many young voters, and some polls have shown support dissolving for Biden. Yes. Last month, a Harvard Youth poll showed Biden's support from voters ages 18 to 29 had slipped from about 60% in 2020 down to 45%. Yeah. A CNN poll last week also revealed that Biden was 11% points behind Trump in a head-to-head match among young voters. Absolutely. Some say Biden is addressing some of the issues that matter most to young voters. I don't think the president is currently meeting young voters enough, said Candace Grima, campaign director at the Sunrise Movement. Sunrise Movement that actually spread its cheeks open for the Democrats. Yeah, no one takes you seriously. Also, again, on the issues of Gaza, he said it will come down to Biden's approach in the coming months. It's critical that Biden recognize the voices of young people calling for peace in Gaza. Girma said the Americans are calling for the end of unconditional military aid and permanent ceasefire. The quickest way to end the unrest on college campuses is listen to the majority of Americans and young students willing to fight for what is right. Biden was critical of the recent protests on college campuses Thursday, condemning vandalism, trespassing, adding that protesters at Columbia University and other campuses had the right to demonstrate peacefully. All right. Okay. But listen. You had Biden dictating to you how to run a protest. All these young people, all you young people, you need to realize Biden is not going to listen to you. He just wants you to vote for him, and then that's it. He wants you to shut up and not challenge his authority. He wants you to shut up and not step up. I want to pull up this tweet here, or this message here. Shout out to Black Magic Podcast. It's the elites who want to take free speech and freedom of religion. You will bow to our God, peasants. Do not let them do this. Your right to protest is being taken away. Your right to speak out is being taken away. The economy is shite. Owning a home, renting an apartment, having a small business is not only it's no longer a dream. It's a myth right now in this country. College debt is enslaving everyone. We got no Medicare for all. We have a system that has failed us time and time again. So to the next generation, if you want to be a sucker and vote for the Democrats, you'll learn the hard way. Or maybe you guys can start setting the path for a better future.